Yeah, I just got my credit card bill in the mail. You probably have received yours too, or will be soon. How to manage your money. Get yourself out of debt now and forever. We're hoping that the advice of Jeff Schwartz, Executive Director of Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada, is going to do just that. Now, I'm holding some money from a game for kids that we're going to talk about in a little bit. It must be tricky teaching kids about money these days. How do you do it effectively?
Well, it is, and you want to start young. I don't know what your house was like when you were growing up, but mine, we didn't talk about it much. And my dad typically handled things, and that's the way it was. But nowadays, I think it's more and more important that children get that education from an early age. And typically, the way it starts first is through allowance. And it shouldn't be geared to chores or anything. It's really a money management tool. It's giving kids their first taste. And that can start as early as kindergarten, grade 1.
Wow. Yeah, we remember getting, the only money education we got was our parents were always fighting about the fact that they didn't have any. So beginning of the year, people are struggling to climb out of debt, whether it's recession related or whether it's just holiday spending related. What do we do?
Well, first thing, give your credit cards a rest, okay? And in some cases, we tell people, you know what, put them on ice. And literally, people put them on ice. They'll put them in a cup. They'll put them in the freezer so they don't have as much access to them. The idea there is you don't want to dig yourself further into debt without paying off what you incurred over the holidays. And put them away. Put them aside. Reduce the temptation when you go out so that if you don't have your credit card with you, then chances are you're not going to be able to spend on it.
Wow. You are busy this time of year, are you?
This is the time of year when people start to say, oh my goodness, like you said at the beginning, they're opening up their statements, and what we call sticker shock, if you will, or buyer's remorse over what happened on the holidays is now showing up on the statements. So they're contacting us, well, now that I've got myself into this mess, what do I do? How do I get out? And we want to talk to them about not just getting out now, but planning for next year's holidays and hopefully alleviating any issues going forward.
Do you recommend trying to pay it off if you can all at once, or do you recommend spacing out the payments?
I guess that's really up to you and what your budget tells you or what your cash flow tells you. First off, we want you to pay it off as soon as possible because it's not an efficient use of your money. If you're sitting there and you're paying somewhere to the tune of anywhere from 18 to 30% interest on a debt, that's not an efficient use of your money. So the sooner you can pay it off, the better. But, and to answer the other side of that is, we also want you to think about saving and putting some money aside so you don't have to do this kind of in the future as well. So you can use cash the next time the holidays come around, or you've got to go on some sort of shopping spree.
I've heard some people say they've called up their credit cards and said, I'm going to switch if you don't give me a lower interest rate. Is that actually possible?
Sure it is. Sure it is.
Do you recommend people do it?
If they're having trouble, absolutely. Call up your credit card company and see if there is some sort of accommodation that they can make for you. Even in some cases, if you are, but I mean, typically that's reserved for people who are experiencing some sort of hardship. I mean, you don't want to go into something that, you know, you're just trying to get a better deal. I mean, you can try, but and a lot of the times the credit card companies will smell that and say, well, no, I think you're going to have to incur the charges that you've kind of agreed to at this point.
All right, let's assuming we are able to get ourselves out of this past holiday spending debt. How do we avoid the same problem next year?
Well, that's a big thing, and one of the topics that we cover at Consolidated as well is preparation. So you do that through a budget. You want to try and first identify where your money's coming from and where it's going, so that at the end of the day, if you want to make some alternative choices to save additional money, that's a great idea. And then once you've saved that additional money, put it aside for whatever you need it for. Maybe it's for a child's education, but maybe even it's in a holiday savings account that you can tap into the next time so that you don't have to go into debt. You don't have to worry about the first 3 months of the year paying off last holiday's debt. Maybe you can use cash the next time around. So that's a big thing.
That'd be a dream.
Yeah.
Do you have to write everything down that you buy? Do you have to keep all of your receipts? What's the best way to keep track of what you're spending?
Well, typically, we have a tool. There's a couple. I'm not sure if there's one here or not, but we also have a money manager booklet that we hand out to people. I don't see it here, but it's a tool that you can actually put in your pocket. Guys and ladies can use that. It's small enough, and track your expenses on a daily basis. So you can identify where you're spending your money. There's also, I see you're using an iPad.
Yep.
We also have like an Apple app. It's a free app. It's called Budget Tool, and you can get it out of the iTunes store, and that helps you input your expenses and also gives you some warnings when you're spending too much in a certain area or you're getting close to what you should be as it relates to your income. So it's a fantastic thing. I download it and it's for free. So these are great tools.
That would be great. At the App Store?
Yeah.
Calculator? Can we use these as well?
Oh, absolutely. You just want to try and keep track of your expenses. That's the idea. And do it as simply as possible. And keeping receipts is another thing.
We mentioned kids, teaching them about money early through allowances. This is a great game, Play Money. What do you do with this?
Well, I think the idea here really is there's so many different tools to teach kids about handling money. And I look at this as, you know, it's a bit of a double whammy, if you will, in terms of what you're teaching your children. I mean, we talk about, I do a little bit of exercise, and some of the trainers out there, they say, well, what about a compound exercise where you're doing two things at once, right? And you're getting double bang. Well, playing games with money is a fantastic way to get through two things at once. It's teaching your kids about money, how to handle money, what the denominations are, penalties or fees that you might incur, different things that happen kind of out of the blue and they cost money, and they all come through in these games. But the other side of it is, while you're spending time with your children and your family playing these games, you're not out spending money as well.
Brilliant.
So it kind of covers two things at once, and it's real benefit to the kids.
Yeah. Any other quick budget-saving ideas for families?
The best thing is around allowance, and one of the things that we do is we say, you know, use the 3 piggy bank rule. One is for savings, one is for charity, and then one is for spending. And the last one, the spending one, is a real tough one because we want kids to be able to spend on what they want because they've done the other two first.
Jeff, thank you so much. For more information, consolidatedcredit.ca. And now, here's some more information on Jeff Schwartz. Appreciate it.